Hey everyone, my name is John. I am the race director of the Human Potential Running Series here in Colorado, and it is my pleasure to be before you today to give you a little bit of a course preview of the Sheep Mountain 50 mile and 50K coming up here on August 7th in beautiful Fairplay, Colorado. I'm really excited for this race. This is one of the more beautiful courses that we have at the Human Potential Running Series. At times, I guess you could say that it's also one of our toughest events, for sure. If you're in the 50 mile, don't worry. If you're in the 50K, not the hardest 50K, but certainly being at elevation, you're going to feel it for sure. And of course, this is all subjective based on my own running experience and the running experience of others who I know who have run it before. So it may be easier for you than it sounds. It may be harder for you than it sounds. I make no guarantees. We have to thank the United States Forest Service for permitting this event and allowing us to use a variety of their roads and trails to make it happen. We also want to thank the Bureau of Land Management for a small section of land that they manage, and of course our friends at the Town of Fairplay for hosting us this for the 7th year of the Sheep Mountain 50 and the 4th rendition of the 50K. So again, the race takes place on Saturday, August 7th in Fairplay, Colorado. We have room for 300 runners, and we got about 120 registered for this weekend's run. So we're not even halfway full. We got a good sized crowd, not our largest field ever for this one. We had our largest ever last year. I did expect a little bit of a correction year with our numbers this year, and we're certainly having it. So what I'd like to do for today is to just kind of go through the course step by step with you, show you a few pictures, and hopefully clear up any kind of confusion that there may be in your journeys around the course. So with that in mind, let's get to work. All right, so I'm going to be here on your screen down on the corner while I also manipulate this map. And so for starters, let's zoom in. The first thing that I've done here on my overlays, this is the mapping software that I like to use for things. I've got Sheep Mountain info is highlighted, and then I've got additional contour lines on here so that we can see a little bit more topography, and then I just turned on some hill shading as well so you guys could see that as well, so that'll help you, give you some depth in your field of vision here, what we're looking at. Okay, give me a sec. So as you can see here, see if I can get, here we go. This is Fairplay proper right here. Again, this is US 285. If you're coming in from Denver, you'll be coming from this direction. If you're coming from places south like Buena Vista, Colorado Springs, you'll be coming this way. Highway 285 is closed through here due to some construction work that's going on. So you'll be coming in on Highway 9 and eventually 285. And then, of course, if you're coming from Breckenridge Way, you'll be coming through and down Main Street, Fairplay. So that's how you're going to be getting into the event this weekend. Also, I want to show you right here that little red dot that I just put on your screen is the one traffic light in the town of Fairplay, Colorado. The one traffic light. And I want to show you that if you head down towards Buena Vista on 285, you're going to take your first right-hand turn, and this brings you up to the events flat, which is the start-finish line of our race. Okay, so again, if this is Main Street, this is 285. This is the street you want. It's called Platte Drive, and the events flat is over here near the town of Fairplay Beach. So this is where the event starts. You're going to start by running up this road right here. Let me move around here, see if I can zoom in a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so again, the race is going to start with you all running on this road right here. We're actually going to start over here, and you run on this road. This is all paved, and it's paved till about here. Then it turns into a dirt road. And this dirt road winds its way through what's known as the Foxtail Pines subdivision. You know, guys, I really wish there was an easier way for us to get out to the Forest Service trails here in Fairplay, but there just isn't. This is the quickest, most direct way to get you guys out onto Forest Service trails from the town of Fairplay. It's the same exact route that we used for the South Park Trail Marathon and Half when we head out in June. So, again, a little bit of pavement to start, then you're on these dirt roads. You know, we try to mark these as well as we can. During the marathon this year, we had some folks end up going the wrong way down this road due to some course vandalism. So pay attention. We try to mark it heavy at intersections. And so on this road, you'll be marked heavy around all of these little intersections that you'll come to, directing you which way to go. And as you can see, there's a fair number of these. We mark them as best as we can. When you first start out in the morning, obviously the sun's up, so you're not going to see any of the reflectors. But if you're somebody who's going to be coming back after dark, if you're going to be coming back through town after dark, we do hang some reflective squares. It's like they're about half the size of a business card. Here, I got a business card here. So if I got a business card, they're about that big. And we hang these reflectors onto the ribbons. They are tractor trailer grade, and your headlamp should light them up from 200 yards away. Okay? So this is all dirt road. You know, a couple intersections here and there. Again, I'll highlight another one here. You kind of get past these, couple more here, and then right here is your first aid station. This is actually a water-only stop. Water only. On some maps it says Foxtail, on others it says Bluestem. Emily gives me a fair amount of grief for this because this is Bluestem Way and this is Foxtail Drive. And so it is the corner of Foxtail and Bluestem. Doesn't really matter what the hell you call it. There's a table there. We try to get that out for you first thing in the morning. It is water only. There is only water at this stop. It's about 2 miles away from the Horseshoe Aid Station. So if you don't need any in the morning, keep on running by. And I also want to show you that your last bit of dirt road that you'll be running, you swing around, and then right about here, there's a Forest Service gate. Okay, so at this point, let me pull this up so I can tell you what your mileage is at. No, there's a lot of info for our races, and we do this on purpose. We want you folks to know where the heck you're going. So 2.75 miles in is your first water stop right here. It may not be there in the morning. Usually it is, but you never know. For some of you, it's not going to be. For the back of the pack, it is. Usually we set that up right after the start. So there'll be a water stop right there. That is 2.75 miles in, and so the Forest Service gate over here is about 3.25 miles from the start-finish line. Okay, so now you're going to enter into a place known as Thompson Park. Again, we got our Forest Service gate over here. This is where the dirt road ends. Traditional dirt roads. I have no pictures of this section of the course. It is deceiving. There's a lot of ups and downs. You swear on the way out in the morning, there's a lot of down. And on the way back in the afternoon, somehow it feels like it's mostly uphill. So you've been warned. Again, from the start to this gate is all dirt road. And really uneventful stuff, but a great way to get you warmed up and cooled down at the end of the day. at this Forest Service gate, we're now going on to double track trail. What does that mean? That means it's a Forest Service fire road. Some people may call them logging roads. I like to call them two-track sometime. Basically, that means that it's a road just wide enough for one vehicle to drive down. It's not a two-lane road. It's not a dirt road. It's a one-lane, two-track fire road. And you take this fire road through the Thompson Park area. This is all open. You can see here on my map, there's actually, I like this map because it highlights where the edge of the forest is. And so if I'm to draw a line all around the edge of the forest, you can see that you're in a pretty sizable meadow. And then down this other side. So all the green, all this green on my map, those are trees. Okay? And there's trees here. Bank of trees. And you go through some more trees here. All this is trees on the other side of that green line, okay? So you'll be going through this giant meadow known as Thompson Park. Again, we got the Forest Service gate. You go through this meadow, duck into the trees, and then you come to a big junction. And this area right here is the first spot where you're going to have to navigate a little bit. I tend to put some laminated signs out here so you know which way to go. This road does continue up this way. It goes up way high. Don't make the mistake. There's nothing up there for you. And then this trail here goes way down into this valley and does this. There's like a big loop here. But you don't go that way. Here on the map, as you can see, you come to this junction and you kind of swing off to the left. And you come up onto this ridge. And then you run down into the Horseshoe Aid Station, which is right here. So again, on my map, I want to show you that this is what I would consider the first actual climb of the day. Not a big climb, it's just over a ridge. Okay, so if I back out, you can see it here. Your ridge line, you got, here we go. We got our mountain peak up here, and this ridge line flows down this way. And then this is another ridge line coming off this other direction. And so all through here, you're in this big valley. This is a huge valley, and you've got to go up and over this ridge line to get down into the Horseshoe Aid Station location, okay? So this is Horseshoe. Whoop, moving all over the place. Sorry. Okay. So here we have the Horseshoe Aid Station. It's in a giant open field. I want to remind everybody in the 50 mile that your crews are not allowed to go here in the morning. They cannot go here for your first trip in. It's only 7 miles into the race. No reason for you to have a crew 7 miles in. Also, you're not allowed to have spectators here in the morning. Please do not send them there. This is a no-go. It is far too hectic. Both of these races start at the same time, and that is 6 a.m. on Saturday morning, the 50 mile and the 50K. And so we'll have 120 runners coming through this intersection in pretty quick succession, and it's hectic. And we just don't have the capacity as a race series to also be managing parked cars and people coming through here first thing in the morning. So please, no spectators first thing in the morning. Do not send them to Horseshoe Aid Station. But you'll come out of the woods. There's a brown gate, another Forest Service gate. You check in at the aid station here. And then you're going to head on to County Road 18, also known as 4 Mile Creek. You take a right onto this road. This is all a dirt gravel road. And then down here on the left-hand side of you will be all these really neat beaver dams, place where moose like to eat and hang out. And there's more up here. And you're actually going to cross this up the road a little ways here. So you go up this dirt road. This is the road that goes to the Mount Sherman trailhead. Mount Sherman is one of the easier 14ers to climb. So there is a lot of traffic that comes through here in the morning. They kick up a lot of dust. They don't slow down for runners. We call them Sidiots and Turons on their way up to the mountains to do one of the easier 14ers. So please do be careful on this road, just so that you know. Okay, so you leave Horseshoe, you come all the way up the road, and then there's a trailhead I usually put a vinyl sign out in the road. There's a trailhead, wooden sign. There's a parking lot. Very obvious that there's a trail here, and you're going to take a left. And when you take this left, you cross a bridge that goes over the river, 4 Mile Creek, and then you start climbing up into these evergreens until you get into what I call Mars. Or the moon. I guess you could call it the moon. But where I'm highlighting right now, this whole area goes through Limber Grove, which is a very old forest. The trees in here are over 1,000 years old. They are known as twisted wood, twisted pine. They grow that way to protect themselves from the wind and deep snows. And it's a very rocky area of the course. The rocks are very sharp. Take your time. If you can run through here, awesome. But don't be a hero. You don't need to. After you get through the rock field, known as the moon, you head back into the evergreen forest, and this kind of winds its way and takes you down to the actual U.S. Forest Service Horseshoe Campground. Okay? I want to point this out on the map again. This is Horseshoe Campground. It's an official U.S. Forest Service campground location. It has its own little loop. There's campsites there. You can pay to camp there if you'd like. It's full of mosquitoes. You're welcome. But the aid station is not here. We are across the street. You have no reason to ever run through this campground. If you ever make it into this campground, and I'm going to show you a few places where you can run in. This is one of them. You could be coming in from this way because you missed your turn to go uphill. Okay? This is one of the first tricky parts of the course. This is for everybody. So when you come down through here, you end up at the campground and you take a hard right and you start climbing this hill. Okay? This is the way the course goes. You do not at all go into the campground's road at all. There is a campsite right there. There's a dumpster. It looks like you're running into the campground. When I say into the campground, I mean you shouldn't be running on the pavement there in the campground for any reason at any time. Okay, so pay attention. We usually mark this really well. And again, you come down, you come out of Limber Grove, come out of the moon, swing around, you hit the campground, and you take a sharp right-hand turn and start climbing Sheep Mountain. This is the first big climb of the day. So you start climbing Sheep Mountain out of the campground, and as you swing around, you know, there's a lot of old trails, there's some new trail, there's some closed trail, but there's a junction right here. This is the second tricky spot of the course. At this point, you need to go straight uphill. Continue to climb uphill, straight. This continues until you finally reach tree line. And as you get up in this is a beautiful area. You're above tree line for the first time of the day. The trail is literally carved into the rocks. There's some old mines and stuff around here, some mine shafts and things that you can check out if you'd like. It's super cool. There's a lot of neat history up in there. And then eventually you see here that you skirt just below the top of Sheep Mountain. Now, if you're in the 50K, you got all day. If you guys want to take a side trek up to the top of the mountain, you're more than welcome to do so. If you're in the 50 miler, I wouldn't recommend it. You've got a lot of work left. Just keep on going. The summit of this mountain's at 12,800 feet. You guys hang out around, I'd say 12,500 is about where you top out. And it's out here on the shoulder. Okay? So from this point, great. We just made it. Okay, so from this point, you're going to continue across the rock pile known as Sheep Mountain. A lot of rocks. They're very loose. And then you start to descend your way all the way down here into the Browns Pass aid station, which is located right here. So that's the start to Browns Pass, and Browns Pass 1 is 13.6 miles in both races. Your first good workout of the day has been done. There is a road right here, just so you guys can see it. I'll point it out to you again. Again, you're coming across the rock pile. It's a scree field. A lot of loose little rocks. We call them chicken heads. Take your time. You'll be gasping for air. And then right about here, again, the Browns Pass aid station's here. You drop down into it. But there is a forest road that's easy for people to take and starts winding you this way. You should, at this point, you should not be going uphill for any reason. So for sure, be careful of that road. You don't want to take it. That's not for you. Okay, so we're at Browns Pass here. Major intersection of the race. Thank God we have some folks there. But let's take a look at some pictures. So here we go. This is the road heading down into Horseshoe Aid Station, the fire road that I call 2-track. This is the Limber Grove trailhead where you take your left-hand turn. You're going to go beneath that cliff area and into the rocks. You can see here why I call it the moon or Mars. It's up to you. But you go through this massive rock field, and you can see the trail kind of winds its way through that field towards the ancient forest. Then you start climbing up towards the top of Sheep Mountain. And when you get up there, you're above tree line, treated to these magnificent views of the South Park Valley, going through this scree field of just loose rock. I would call this technical trail over the top of Sheep Mountain with the Mosquito Range in the background. There's Horseshoe Mountain all the way on the left, Sheridan Mountain, Sherman. That's what you're going to get to see there on your way to Browns Pass. All right, at this point, if you are in the 50K, I'm going to ask you to please hang on a second, because the 50K at this point, when you come down off of Sheep Mountain, you check in at the Browns Pass aid station, and the 50K goes this way. The 50-miler heads off this way. So again, once you're coming down off of Sheep Mountain, the 50K goes to the left and the 50-mile goes to the right. That's going to be marked for you. There's volunteers there. Ask them which way to go. Tell them what race you're in. They'll direct you. And if you're in the 50K, hang tight, because we're going to come back, because eventually the 50-milers come back this way. And so we're going to come back to Browns Pass. The next few minutes, I'm going to be talking about Browns Pass to Browns Pass with the 50-mile runners. All right, 50-milers, so you end up leaving Browns Pass and you go down this ridiculously steep hill. It gets really, really steep. You could run it. You'll destroy your quads. You'll wish you could run it, but just wait, because at the bottom of that hill, you end up down here in an area known as Sheep Creek. And this is the Sheep Creek Valley. There's a lot of moose down here. It is a stunningly beautiful area. It's probably my favorite most area to course mark on race weekend. I just love running down there. But when you come down off of Browns Pass, again, it's really steep, and then you get into Sheep Creek, and this is really runnable. It's almost flat. This is the flattest part of the entire course. You run down here through the Sheep Creek Valley, and then you come to a big intersection in the road, in the forest roads. And that big intersection is right here. And you end up crossing and you go through the water. You can actually get through here without getting wet. But again, pay attention, because you're not going to go straight. You swing off to the right. Okay? I got another ridge line here for you guys. So again, you're going to take a right at that intersection, and then you climb up and over this ridge, which kind of slowly winds its way down and around here. And all the way down till you get to this gate. There's a gate here, and this is known as 12-Mile Creek. So now you're in the 12-Mile Creek Basin. There's a lake up here with that. There's a lake up here we've never been to. I don't know what it looks like. I should go up there sometime. But at any rate, there is a water-only stop right here. There will be a table. I usually put 10 gallons of water out on this table. It's 5.75 miles from here to Watrous. 5.75 miles from here to Watrous. We usually run out of water at this spot. So I'm going to ask you, if you're in the 50 mile, you get to 12 Mile Creek, take the water that you need. Don't fill up here. It is literally the hardest place to get to on the entire course. I'll have to drive my truck in here to drop off the water. It's a pain in the ass. It really is remote, rocky, rugged, slow going. It's a courtesy to put water out here for everybody to break up the miles between Browns Pass and Watrous. But please do be courteous here and don't drink all the water. Take what you need. Leave some for your friends that are coming in behind you. Now you're going to run down the 12 Mile Creek Valley. Also pretty flat down through here. Moose country running down along this watery area. Lot of wildlife in here. Very cool. And we got some lakes here. We got another watershed coming down. There's a couple more watersheds here. So it can be really wet in here, and it's going to be wet on race day because we've had so much rain up in this area as of late. So this is the 12 Mile Creek. It is not heavily used, and so the trail in places looks like it kind of wants to disappear. And the place that it really does that is when you start to kind of wind your way around this meadow. The trail disappears just a little bit, and then finally you're following the 12 Mile Creek, and eventually you end up crossing it. Oh, hold on. So again, you come down off of this ridge, and you'll end up meeting up with the Sheep Creek Trail again. There's a major junction. You're going to take a right. You cross 12 Mile Creek. There's a bridge, and then you start climbing this ridge. Now, you're going to work again to get up to Watrous, but this is beautiful country. Single track trail through aspen groves, beautiful flowers everywhere. Usually the lavender's out. The columbines are still hanging on. There's a beaver dam in this area, and you kind of wrap your way around it. You cross on a bridge, and then all of this that I'm highlighting right now, this is all aspen grove, and it's some of the strongest, largest aspen grove that we run through here at the Human Potential Running Series. And then, of course, you continue to climb up, swing your way around, cross a couple more bridges, and climb your way up here to the Watrous Aid Station. This is by far what I just highlighted to you, the last couple miles, probably the last 3 miles, by far the prettiest part of this entire course. You guys, if you remember anything while you're out there, it's going to be the section of trail where you meet up with the Sheep Creek Trail again, and then you work your way around here through what's known as Cave Creek. So this is the Cave Creek area, and it heads up here to Watrous. Now, Watrous Aid Station is a place where you can have drop bags, no crews. This hill coming up in and out of here is a bitch for vehicles. You kind of need high clearance to get up there, or it's a little bit of a walk-in. So that's why we don't allow crews to go there. We don't want anybody to get stuck or hurt or ruin their car. But there is an aid station right here, full service, Watrous Aid Station. They'll take care of you pretty good. Out of Watrous, you run downhill on a dirt road. We're back to more of a dirt road, and that dirt road, the further along you go, the further along you go on that dirt road, the more it turns into a large dirt road. And so this is the section of the course where it's going to be the hottest, for sure, the hottest part of the day. Usually it's right at peak time in the afternoon, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, somewhere in there. And this is a major county road that, this section's all downhill. This is all downhill. And then you get here to where the creeks come through. And once you pass where these creeks come through here, the rest of this is uphill. And so you're uphill through here to Round Hill Aid Station. It is 5 it's like 4.4 miles between Watrous and Round Hill Aid Station. At Round Hill, there is a porta potty. You can also have your cruise there. This is mile 27. There is a 2 p.m. strict cutoff. You need to get through here by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you get here after 2, you'll never make it. Mathematically, nobody has ever made it to the finish line after 2 o'clock. So again, here's Watrous up in the mountains, in the woods, the forest, and here's Round Hill. Both are aid stations. This one allows drop bags. This one allows cruise. And in between is all dirt road. No shade. The sun will be on you. Enjoy it, because then the work happens. This is called Round Hill. It doesn't actually look like much on the elevation profile. But when you leave the Round Hill aid station, you start climbing up on 2-track again. This is an ATV trail, an old fire road. So we're back on 2-track fire roads. Winds its way up through here, and then you kind of start to come across this south side of Round Hill, the top of which is right here. So you come around Round Hill, the flowers through here, there's going to be lavender everywhere, and it's all that you smell is lavender. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. I love coming through here this time of year so I can get that unique smell of the wild lavender in the mountains. But as you can see, you're just kind of contouring around the mountain with a little bit of climb here in the middle, and not bad, right? Well, then you take a hard right, and I'm telling you that this section of the course is where a majority of the work happens. This is where you're going to be swearing my name. If you're in the 50 mile, you will never forget running this race because of this climb. This is it. This is the one. Every time you turn a corner, you swear, I've got to be at the top. Nope, there's more. I'm at the top now. Nope, there's more. It keeps going up until you eventually go up and over the very top of Round Hill. So that's why we call it the Round Hill Aid Station. Once you get to the top of Round Hill, you get to run down through a really cool, this is all a pine forest, so it's all evergreens. It's usually pretty hot through here, really stagnant if there's no wind, but you'll head down through, and then this is called Breakneck Pass. This is another spot where you got to pay attention, because as you come down out of this trail, you take a hard left and then a hard right. And we usually mark this pretty damn good. It keeps you up high and on this Forest Service 2-track, this fire road. That's all it is. It's a fire road. And you can see it looks like it contours across, but it actually climbs ever slightly. So your downhill coming off of Round Hill isn't that far. It gets you down to the junction of this road. And then from this junction, it's a slow climb, what we would call douche grade, which means that you could run it, but it's probably a bad idea if you do. So you take this road and it brings you all the way back. Eventually, there it is, Browns Pass. Now, really cool, I want to point out right here, there's a road that drops down the mountain. And you don't want to go that way. It's really steep. You don't go there. It's not where the course goes. But the reason I'm pointing it out to you is because where this road goes down is a really cool old mining camp. There's some cabins here. There's an old shaft. Really cool history right there. You're going to get to run right by it. Definitely one of the cooler things on the course. And then eventually you run back in to Browns Pass Aid Station. So let's take a look at some of the pictures of where we, let me take that off. Some of the pictures of where we just were. Here you go. This is the Sheep Creek Valley that you're running through after you first come down off of Browns Pass. This is the area through 12 Mile Creek, where I told you that sometimes it's kind of hard to see that faint trail, but it's good enough to get you through. These are the views running through 12 Mile Creek. Again, the aspen groves I told you you run through on single track trail. You won't forget this section of the course. Single track with columbines and lavender and flowers all about. beaver dams and bridges all below the mosquito range here. And then this is the climb up Round Hill with all the lavender surrounding you. The views as you come around, contouring around Round Hill after you kind of come out of the aid station. These are the views that you look at before you do that big climb that heads up to the top of Round Hill. And of course, I have no pictures of Round Hill to share with you, but I am sorry. Okay, now 50Kers, we're back to you. And this is everybody. We're back at Browns Pass. So here's the Browns Pass aid station. If you're in the 50 mile, you'll be coming from this direction, which having done Round Hill. And again, if you're in the 50K, you have come down Sheep Mountain, and you're going to be taking a left, and the 50 milers come in and you take a right. So again, there's an aid station here. They will help direct you which way to go. Don't be afraid to tell them what race you're in and ask them, which way do I go? There'll be laminated signs there to tell you which way to go. Again, 50Kers, you come down Sheep Mountain, take a left. 50 milers, you come from Round Hill and take a right. And everybody's going this way. Now, everybody thinks that this section of trail, which is all of 2 miles long, goes from Brown Pass down here to the pasture aid station. This is pasture, okay? Here's Brown's Pass. They're not that far apart. It's only 2 miles. And you're going to want to run because, as you can see on this map, it's mostly downhill. Except it's really rocky. It's really rocky up high. It's rocky until you get about here. So it's almost halfway, and it's the top half is the rockiest. Sharp rocks, loose rocks, technical running, and then eventually it chills out. And it turns out it's just a fire road, so 2-track, gets really muddy in this middle section here. So that's typically where it's really muddy in between, okay? And then it really starts to open up as you come down here into the valley. It opens up until you get to the pasture aid station. The pasture aid station, a note on that, it does say no aid station on the crew directions. There actually is going to be an aid station there. We also typically have limited aid here, so there will be a place for you to have drop bags. You can have crew at this spot. We also will have food. We're not going to have full service, big shebang like we do every other aid station on the course because it's just 2 miles from Browns Pass, but there'll be enough there for you to gather what you need on your trek back to Horseshoe. And again, this section here from pasture back to Horseshoe, if I can get it all, I could almost get it all. Let's just do the campground, but this is a deceiving section of the course too. Your final big climb of the day is coming up. So here's the pasture aid station. You swing around on this really rocky Forest Service road. It's a fire road, double track, only wide enough for one vehicle, maybe an ATV. Then you get to a point here where there's a hard left turn. So you take that hard left and then you climb this ridge. You see how there's a ridge here? You stay on this ridge line and you climb all the way up. You come to another junction. Now, over the years, we've had a lot of runners take a right-hand turn here, and they head down and they end up here in Horseshoe Campground. And as I said earlier, you should never, ever, ever enter into Horseshoe Campground or be on pavement at this point. And so if you get down to the campground and you find yourself on pavement, you've gone the wrong way. You need to turn around and go back to this big junction. So again, pasture, swing around, hard left. You climb this ridge. You come to another junction and it's another hard left. You keep climbing. And then we're going to treat you to a kind little downhill until you get to another junction. And this one sweeps you to the right. And this climb, this is the soul sucker. This is the climb. The course actually kind of goes more like this. But this is the climb that's going to ruin your day. This is, I've got a picture I'm about to show you of somebody sitting on a log crying in this section of the course. This is the crux of this course. You barely see it on the course elevation profile, but again, you climb uphill. You swing down a little bit, and then you climb in earnest up through this old drainage. And this trail winds its way up and over. And it's rough, it's wild, there's single track. These roads kind of dwindle into single track trail, and then when you get up here, you're going through some old avalanche debris fields that you'll kind of traverse across. There's all kinds of old mine shafts in here with warning signs about unexploded ordnance. Beautiful views looking off to the east. Okay? I know I'm giving you a lot. But again, you don't go this way. There's a road here. You don't go that way. And you don't go this way. Follow the ribbons. From pasture, you leave, hard left. Climb the ridge, another hard left. You go downhill a little bit, swing to the right, and you climb up this drainage through the avalanche debris and the old mine shafts. Now, this is the next spot right here. I can't tell you how many years. At this point in the race, you're at mile 41-ish. There's no reason for you to go back up and over Sheep Mountain. So make sure you do not take a left. There's laminated signs here. There's arrows pointing you to go right. You go right, downhill. At this point, you go downhill. Every year we have people go this way. Don't, unless you want to do it all over again. Not the way to go. When you get to this junction, again, you come across the avalanche debris fields, you get back to this junction, you are here in the morning, you take a right and you run down the mountain. You approach Horseshoe Campground again. Again, you do not go through Horseshoe Campground. There should be no reason for you to be on a paved road at any time right here. If you're going through the campground proper, you're going the wrong way. You missed your hard left-hand turn that takes you back through Limber Grove. Okay? So let me get in here again, and I'll show you because there's Horseshoe. Again, everybody comes up through this drainage. You get to this junction, and you run downhill. You take a right. This brings you down to Horseshoe Campground, where you take a hard left. You run back through Limber Grove, which is the moon and the 1,000-year-old forest. Down across the bridge, onto the dirt road, County Road 18, and back here to Horseshoe Campground. Horseshoe, I guess it's a fire collection site, but it's a big field. Your crew can be here now. This is Horseshoe 2, mile 45. Your crew can be here if you're in the 50 mile. If you're in the 50K, this is mile 24.65. You are allowed to have drop bags. There is an 8 p.m. cutoff at this location, and it is strict. You got to be through here by 8 o'clock. Now from here, you're just following the same route all the way back to town. Again, you're going across Thompson Park, up and over this ridge, across Thompson Park, through the gate, and onto the dirt roads. Here's your water only at Foxtail, Blue Stem, and then these dirt roads take you all the way in to town, Fairplay. I only have 2 pictures of Browns Pass to Horseshoe. Oh, I didn't put it in here. Here it is. See if I can get this. Boom. Here's the flat road heading into the pasture aid station where Browns Pass. The 2 miles in between, it kind of mellows out, as you can see. And then here's the picture of the guy on that single track trail up through that drainage, sitting on a log, sobbing. We got a picture of him. So that's the big crux of the event. Everybody goes through there. So I really want to take a moment here again and just highlight one more time for you all the way that Sheep Mountain works. So again, here's your Sheep Mountain proper, if you will. Okay. Again, in the morning, here's our Horseshoe aid station. Here's Browns Pass, and here is pasture. So those are your 3 aid stations around Sheep Mountain. I'm going to use blue this time. You're going to take the road around, then you cross the creek, through the Moon, Limber Grove, to the campground. Should never be on the pavement in the campground. You take a hard right, you climb Sheep Mountain. No matter what you do, you stay straight going up to Sheep. Up and over just below the summit until you come down to Browns Pass. If you're in the 50 mile, you'll head this way and do the big 50-mile loop through Sheep Creek, 12 Mile Creek, Sheep Creek, 12 Mile Creek, and Round Hill, and you come back this way. That's if you're in the 50 mile. If you're in the 50K, you're coming over Sheep Mountain and you're coming right down towards pasture. Again, everybody eventually comes down this road. Rocky at first, then through a muddy section. It mellows out, opens up nice and wide through this big meadow, and you get to pasture. Crews are allowed. Drop bags as well. Then you swing around. This is the road out to pasture. That's the road out. We don't go that way, but you swing around, more 2-track, and then you get onto single-track trail on this hard left. And you follow this awesome single track through this evergreen forest till you come to this junction. Stay left. A little downhill. Swing you. This is all single track trail up through this drainage, across, back to this major junction. At this point, everybody goes downhill. So essentially, this is a counterclockwise loop. When you get back to Horseshoe Campground, again, you should not be going through the campground, back through Limber Grove. The Moon, 1,000-year-old forest, dirt road, back to Horseshoe. Every single year, we have people take this trail down to the campground. That's not the right way. We've had people take this road over to the campground. That's not the right way. We've had people come back up and over Sheep Mountain. Definitely not the way. These are not the ways to go. Not the way. We mark it as well as we can. Encourage you to please use the Cotrex app. The course through this area is not going to be perfectly marked on the app, but it's good enough to keep you going in the right direction, okay? I just wanted to show you all the Sheep Mountain proper again so you guys don't get lost on race day. And then, of course, from Horseshoe, it's all the way back to town on those dirt roads, back to the town of Fairplay. I hope you found this useful. This is our course preview for the Sheep Mountain Ultras happening on August 7th. That would be a 50 mile and a 50K. That is a little bit of a course walkthrough that I can do for you folks in the hopes that it'll help you prepare better for race day. It'll help you know where you're going, helps you know what to expect, and sets you up for a successful day on the Sheep Mountain course, which I think is one of our most beautiful courses, regardless of if you're in the 50 mile or the 50K. Again, I'll be running the 50K with you this weekend. More like hiking it here and there, but I'll be out there. I'm excited for it. I hope you're all healthy, rested, ready to rock and roll. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all. Don't be shy about introducing yourselves. We'll see you in Fairplay this weekend. Thank you so much.